to the Soccer Chaplains United podcast from the Touchline. And now, here's your host, Rev Brad.
Hello, friends. For the month of April, I'd like to read and reflect on a number of the soccer psalms. Similar to doing this in the past, what I'll do is I'll read the biblical psalm first, and then the soccer psalm translation or paraphrase. After, I'll share my reflection from the book and offer up a few questions for your own personal meditation. So this week, we read Psalm 1, The Blessed Player. Psalm 1:1. Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his law day and night. That person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers. Not so the wicked. They are like chaff that the wind blows away. Therefore the wicked will not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the assembly of the righteous. For the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked leads to destruction. Soccer Psalm 1:1. Happy and whole is the player who does not make their life and career for evil, or put themselves into a place of bad and wrong habits, or settle for just commenting and ridiculing, but who delights in the training sessions of the coach, and meditates on his principles, practices, and philosophies during the day at training and even after in the night. That person flourishes in their soccer. The harvest of good habits and excellent training will take root, and their career will be long and enjoyable. They will have success on and off the pitch. Not so the reckless player. They're like a mannequin, which is only worthwhile for standing still on the pitch. That is why the reckless won't be able to pass the trials. The complacent won't find a place in the team. For the president watches over the way of those diligent, steadfast, and true, but the way of the reckless leads them to their own demise. Just want to offer up a reflection on the soccer psalm and psalm. You know, Eugene Peterson, in his book Answering God, The Psalms Are Tools for Prayer, he notes that Psalm 1 and 2 stand as pillars flanking the way to prayer. Psalm 1 plays a specific role in that it helps move one from intimidation to adoration of God. You know, people in soccer often tell me, Rev, I can't pray. I'm not good at it at all. There's often a lot of teaching and encouragement to be done about what prayer is and what prayer is not. A popular song describes prayer as talking to God. Of course, prayer is partly about talking to God, but it also involves listening to God. Prayer involves people understanding themselves and God rightly, and it can be difficult to enter into prayer when we begin with wrong ideas like, we aren't good enough to pray to God. Or, when things don't go my way, it must be because of my own sin or a proof that God doesn't really exist. When we hold wrong ideas, we end up frustrated because nothing is ever going to turn out right. One of the first soccer pictures that comes to mind when I begin to read Psalm 1 is that of a locker room or an athletic trainer's room. Early in my time as a chaplain, I recall walking into the treatment room while two players were being attended to by the athletic trainer. The conversation was filled with colorful language, and one of the players realized I had come into the room. Oh, sorry, Rev, for my language. I need to work on that. These spaces are often sacred spaces. Teammates and coaches counsel, discuss, and debate, and more than just about the beautiful game. They trade banter and mimic and mock one another about everything from the day's training session to the larger concerns and issues of the day. I think it can be hard for a Christian person in those spaces. Sometimes to be religious and faithful can be met with skepticism, teasing, pressures, or even persecutions. There is a pressure to look, act, and talk like a player, to use vulgar language, to uphold particular ideas about sexuality maybe, or to hold certain political or ideological stances, and much more that is contrary to Christian principles of living. So in Psalm 1, we see a picture of a person delighting and meditating on the law of the Lord. The posture of this person gives us a sense of stability and flourishing. It's important to understand that the Psalms were collected as a prayer book during Israel's time in foreign exile and captivity. Understanding this can help us understand the imagery that goes with the poetry. It helps us realize that even transplanted trees can grow in foreign and non-native soil. The soccer life is a nomadic adventure. One goes where the opportunities are. It's rare for an athlete or coach to remain in one place for their entire life or career. The global nature of the game means that one may live across the country or across the world, plying their trade and playing, managing, or working in the beautiful game. As the game moves one about, it's critical to find points of stability, anchor points for one's heart, soul, and mind. Christian faith is one such anchor point. It's accessible, it is portable, it is transcendent. Now, does this mean that we've got to open up a big study Bible in the midst of the locker room while the team banter goes on around us? Not necessarily. The meditation on the law of the Lord is more about a life practice of being in communion with God, reading His Word, or hearing His Word, maybe through music or a podcast. Meditating might mean inscribing Scripture on your shin guards, or maybe even in a tattoo, as a reminder of one of God's truths. These delighting in and meditating on practices are holistic and part of our breathing in and breathing out. As we go through the remainder of Psalm 1, we might be tempted to think that following Jesus and being devoted to God will equate to a successful soccer career. Whatever this person does prospers, and whatever the wicked person does fails. But following Jesus doesn't mean that someone's going to become the next Pelé, Lionel Messi, Martha, or Sir Alex Ferguson. In soccer, we often look for guarantees. A guaranteed contract, guaranteed money, or a guarantee on the number of years we might be in a particular city or with a particular team. We sometimes think faith in Jesus will guarantee we win the league or the cup final, but that isn't a guarantee, as we understand the tone and tenor of Psalm 1. You can be a good player and never win a World Cup for your nation, or the league, or a cup final for your club team. What is guaranteed, though, is that God will watch over your way. I've seen it many times. Those in the beautiful game who trust in God, whether they stay in the game or move on, God leads them and their families into flourishing. Could be a new career. Could be a different city where they find community. It might be that they evolve and grow with the game, finding new places and opportunities to become something they might never have imagined as manager, director, executive, or something else. As we read and meditate on Psalm 1, let us be reminded of this invitation into prayer. It doesn't matter how good or bad we may feel, that we are with prayer. We are invited to begin communicating with God. We are invited to read, reflect, and meditate on His Word to us. It is not an invitation to just read and obey, though it is more than that. It is more encompassing. It is a 24-hour, any place in the world kind of thing. And as we begin to listen and to hear what it will take for us to become strong stalwarts in a difficult environment such as soccer, give it time, and in due course, in season, we will see the fruit and flourishing that comes from a life centered and anchored in God. Friends, as you go about your day today or maybe this week, I want to offer these questions or these thoughts for meditation and reflection. Think about some of the locker rooms, treatment rooms, hotel rooms, meeting rooms that you've been in. Were conditions difficult or unfavorable for a person of faith? Did you feel pressure to speak and act like others, even when it felt wrong or contrary to what you felt or knew to be true? Write out or say a short prayer. Ask God for help in such moments. Ask God for forgiveness if you fell into the trap of being active with that wicked person or even passive with evil happening around you. Ask God for healing if you've been hurt by such occasions. Reflect, too, on your journey thus far with God. How best do you relate? Are you reading His Word, the Bible? How much time are you devoting to reading and seeking understanding? Use the same principles of starting a new workout program so that you can see progressive gains and avoid plateaus and minimize setbacks. Finally, in what ways have you seen moments of flourishing with your faith? Are your priorities shifting? Do you feel more at peace when results don't go your way? Do you feel energized by opportunities to be with people, whether they're teammates, coaches, or staff? Well, thanks for listening, my friends. The soccer Psalms in the US, the football Psalms in the UK, all available on Amazon in a number of different formats. And coming here soon, Los Salmos del Fútbol, una versión del libro en español. Give it a read, write a review. I'd greatly appreciate it if you order a copy today. I look forward to spending time with you again next week. Until then, this is Rev Brad coming to you from the Touchline.